Ordinary Habits, Extraordinary Life is about mastering simple things in everyday life to expand your views, access more of your untapped potential, and evolve ordinary habits into an extraordinary life. Here is your host, Maria Bailey.
Welcome to Ordinary Habits, Extraordinary Life, where we dive into life's big questions with simple, real, and intimate stories from masters in their field, where we invite you to be curious, be inspired, and simplify the way. I've prepared a feast for you today. Our guest is Cavanaugh, is a founder and CEO of Nona Eats, named Best Private Chef Service in Modern Luxury Silicon Valley, Voyage Denver, and Community Connection by the Burgess Group. Just to name a few, She's been cooking since she was 5 years old, and now with a culinary school, training in Italy, and an advanced degree in interaction design under her apron, Callie believes that exploration and curiosity leads to innovation, bringing people back to the table to build empathy and uncover needs to develop innovative yet functional experiences. So this is more than just eating and socializing. What little habits helped her get to where she is, collaborating with incredible creative chefs and offering these amazing experiences around the country? I can't wait. Welcome, Callie.
Wow, thank you, Maria. Geez, I've never heard such a beautiful intro. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Such a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So, the question I think I have, and so many people must have, what did you have for lunch today?
Oh, that's such a good question. And honestly, I'm not super proud of it, to be fair. Today I recorded 4 podcasts. So I had yogurt for lunch, and I have a nice large salad waiting for dinner.
Right. And so was it like a yogurt, like you just opened it up and grabbed a spoon and ate it, and that's all you've had for lunch?
That is actually all I've had other than water. Yeah, I had it's a really good like coconut yogurt though. I think it's called Cocoa Yo. So it has some like probiotics.
Thick. It's kind of like so thick.
Yeah, it's kind of like bubbly. It is really good. It's not just a small little thing of yogurt. I took my time, ate it, really enjoyed it, outside in the sun. So it was better than nothing.
Well, but see, we're already, I got goosebumps already. So we're diving in already because exactly, I believe that part of what you teach is the ingredients, but it's also not a die-hard process, right? It's more of inviting yourself. How do you come in? Yeah. So what a beautiful example that today you didn't have time, like many of us don't have time. You ate a yogurt, but tell us about then for you today lunch. How was the lunch process? Because that's what you offer your clients, right?
Yeah. It's all an experience, right? So it's all about, and similar to what we've talked about before, really, really grounding, to be present, using meals and food as a time to connect with ourselves and what we're actually eating. So the land as well, and nature, right? And other people if we're eating with others. So today, the experience was designed, kind of a shorter experience, right? But it's a beautiful day here in Colorado, 50 degrees in February, right? We have it. Right. So it was much like my I don't even know, my skin was just calling to be outside. So I just went into a nice little park area and enjoyed this yogurt, but took mindful breaths and heard the birds and, enjoyed the sun in the sky. And so it wasn't even as much, yes, it was, of course, nourishing myself with this yogurt, but this really simple yogurt, it was much more about all these other elements that, are just the small pleasures of life.
Beautiful. So there you were, you had your little yogurt. Well, actually not little, it's not so little, but your yogurt. And were you sitting on a bench park? Were you sitting on a chair on the grass?
Yes, it was actually like a log that was in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by this beautiful tree and this ivy growing on this tree and the creek right next door. It was really something.
Fabulous. So then I know that what is it, like Kali cooking Cajun since you were 5 years old.
Yeah,
Uh,
Callie cooks Cajun.
Kali cooks Cajun
Yeah.
when you were 5 years old. And so I think I want to take so there's the obvious, right? Like there you were, you have um, an inclination and a love for the food and the tastes. I think, given what you just said, that you had the yogurt and you were outside, I want to dive into that other experience of the taking the pause. So
Mm.
if we really back, when is your earliest memory of acknowledging that food is more of an experience, or maybe even outside of food, that experience?
Yeah, it well, there are two things. When I studied abroad in culinary school, and I went to Italy, and I saw, prior to that, I was just seeking to understand flavor and the complexities of food and ingredients, right? And then I went to Italy and really saw like the relationship to food there completely turned on its head compared to what I'd been used to in the States in terms of their respect for ingredients and their care for cooking and how it brought, this connection with their communities and their families. And it was this passing along traditions in the kitchen, right? So that was something that was very pivotal for me. But I think ever since that 5-year-old me was in the kitchen cooking, I knew that it, no matter what, food was a thing that brought my family together. And so
Right.
no matter what was actually on the table, it was as a source of connection. It was like no matter the craziness or the stress or anxiety or what was going on in the world, it was like we could come back and we could have some laughs and connect with each other on such a different level, right? So I think it's always been there and innate for me, and I've just started really chipping away at understanding how to design the utmost connection and experiences for that.
Did your parents offer you that love for nature, or that kind of like curious, open awareness of what's there?
Yeah. Both of my parents they both are athletes, and they both love the outdoors for sure. So I grew up
Right.
in the suburbs of Chicago, and so it was urban and rural kind of at the same time. And so I got kind of, I always gravitated towards the outdoors no matter where I was. And I think then I came out here to Colorado to go to school, and then that my love of nature just exploded even more, right?
Right.
When my working out indoors in the gym, right, turned into just seeking nature and almost not even caring about the working out part, right, or the exercise, more than just craving being outdoors and realizing how amazing that is for, my mind and my body and etc.
Why do you think you are the messenger of this message? Why you?
Mm, wow. That's such a good question. I've never thought about. Um, I think that I have this really weird curiosity
Mhm.
that takes me to levels of just experimenting and being open to so many different things. So, even when I was little, I would always order the weirdest thing on the menu, like from that 5-year-old time to understand the flavor and the texture. And I was just really curious. And I think that curiosity has pushed me, like I said, beyond flavor and ingredients to an even deeper level of what food means.
Are you just curious about food, or is that curiosity in other areas of your life?
No, yeah, it's everywhere. I love just trying new things. I think that was also something I went back to school, got a master's in strategic communication and design, and it was all about design thinking. And so it just really was the perfect thing for me because all design thinking is about experimenting. So it's about trying something, seeing if it works or if it doesn't work, and learning from it. And so it
Mhm.
just really went hand in hand with that innate curiosity. And so ever since then, the curiosity, I just kind of roll with that even more.
Right. And I'm thinking, so is it curiosity or learning? Could you have or is it the same thing for you? Do they I don't
No,
know.
that's such a good question. There's something about growth, like learning. I feel like that, there's something about growth and always wanting to grow in so many different ways, right? I do that on a inner work level. I do that in a professional level, etc. I do really take this desire for growth, and I don't exactly know why or where that came from. But that is something that not only I recognize in myself, I've had so many other people, kind of sharing that with me, this really intense need to kind of, explore and grow.
Right. So little Callie, when she was doing Callie Cook's Cajun, was it what was driving her?
Hmm.
Was it still the learning, the curiosity, or was it different?
That felt like, I've never thought about this question, but I think if I tap into that feeling, it
Mhm.
was play for me. It really was just a playground, to myself with all these. It was like we actually talked about this.
Mhm.
It was like a palette, right? A
Right.
color palette and a canvas to a certain extent, just with different textures and colors. And I also love to, color and design things as well. So this was like an even deeper exploration of art almost.
Right. Right. So if at 5-year-old it was play, that kind of curiosity was play. When did it change? When did it change?
Mm. There, that's such a good question. I sometimes, actually, at this point in my life, I find the play a lot. But
Mhm.
there was a part in my life where I took things really seriously, and I
Right.
felt like, right, that play kind of, yeah, it was more of a focused grow or learn or
Mm.
pushing to accomplish something. And I lost that play. I would say professional is where that really came through, right? It was like, I need to be serious. I need to, make these deadlines, right? I need to put out a product that really sings to people and makes sense and is beautiful. Yet I lost that play.
Right.
And it took through, some burnout to realize, oh wow, that
Mhm.
part that I loved, right, kind of dissipated. And so I really designed my structure of work to really embody that play still.
Does so I'm following curiosity, learning, play.
Mhm.
So does play bring learning or learning bring play or not at all?
Yeah, I think to me, play brings learning because when I'm in play, I'm just trying things, I'm creating things, right? And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wow, there's like this really cool spark or inspiration or this learning, right? Of, let's just say, for example, in the kitchen, if I'm playing with some ingredients, which I do every night, I never know what I'm making. I just get whatever looks good to me in the store, and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I have no plan. And I go in the kitchen, it's this awesome source of play. And at the end of it, something beautiful comes. And most of the time, I have no idea how to recreate it, right?
Right.
And it's yet there are many learnings on that journey.
So what did you create last night?
Last night, what was last night? Oh,
Uh,
last night was that's a good question. I just wanted some vegetables the day prior. So I do a lot of like repurposing of my food too,
right.
because I really don't like to waste things. So the night prior made this cauliflower rice with some broccoli and this za'atar seasoning over this other bed of this really beautiful kale that I had, and I think some lamb meatballs with that. So then the cauliflower rice I had left over. So I actually ended up putting that with some garlic and onion. I think a little bit of carrot too. I got this really beautiful chef's box of produce. So I'm just kind of putting all these different things in there. And then I just added some broth, and I made these really small little meatballs and I put them in there. So it's kind of like a wedding soup, like without just a veggie wedding soup kind of thing, it was really yummy. But once again, I have no idea how to recreate that.
And so how did you experience the play there? Like where's the play? Because I mean, I'm a cook myself, and I so relate to what you're saying. But I wonder for those of us, or those of you who can't relate, like, okay, well, carrots and broccoli and cauliflower, like where's the play in that? Let us into maybe your experience. Where's the play for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really look at each ingredient. Like I said, I was on this crazy hunt for flavor for such a long time. So understanding every type of food, right? Trying every type of food. So at this point, um, I feel pretty in tune with, okay, onions are sweet, right? But I could also, crisp them up in this way, and that could be an interesting attribute, right? So I really this is interesting. Every single day, in terms of what I eat, I look to the weather, and the weather determines what I want. So it's really all intuitive eating. It's like in the winter, I really don't eat that many salads because it's cold. I'm cold and I want something warm and nourishing, right? And so it really starts with the weather. And I like we were just saying, I do a lot of, I'm outside a lot as well. So it's usually on those moments where I'm outside, I'm not even thinking about it. It's just an intuitive kind of internal thing that's like, okay, it's cold. I want some meat or something that's hearty, right? I want something that might balance that in terms of acid. There are just kind of elements that speak to me from the weather.
Right.
And then from there, those kind of elements or essences that I'm seeking, I just plug in different foods. So sometimes those are foods that I have on hand, or other times I'll just go to the grocery store and be like, okay, I'm looking for something hearty. And that food just kind of pops out at me.
Right.
So it's really an totally intuitive process. And then even in terms of envisioning what the the dish will look like by the end, right? I kind of sit with all the ingredients and I look at them, and it's pretty cool to realize how quickly I do this. It takes me less than a minute probably, but I sit with those ingredients, and in that minute I can be like, all right, I'm going to do, I can see which ones I need to cook first, how many pans I need, and what kind of process that I need to start with in terms of the cooking process, and how I want it to look at the end.
Does the weather does the weather inform any other decisions in your life? That intuition, is it just food?
Yes. I would say it determines a lot of things. Food, I feel like is of course the main, but in terms of exercise, how I want to exercise, how I want to spend my time outdoors. Sometimes if it's really nice, beautiful day, like I just want to sit outside a little bit and then soak in the sun just for 20 minutes or something, right? And if it's cloudy, I might go for a run to kind of get my heart rate up, and it's not as much about the sun. So yeah, I think even in terms of different activities that I'm doing or hobbies that I want to do for that day, will be determined by nature.
How would you consider yourself always an intuitive since you were little, or is that something that you developed on your own?
I think that everyone is intuitive, and I think sometimes it takes us a little bit to realize that and to listen and to kind of to understand how to listen. So I think I've always been like this, but I probably didn't know, right? I didn't really know how to listen until, let's say, 7 years ago or something, where I really started becoming more mindful and listening to myself and meditating and all of those great things to really cultivate that listening.
Thank you. I was, when you were explaining how the weather informs the ingredients and the pans and everything, again, to make it more relatable. And also, perhaps I come with my assumption that I think the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I also believe that when I interview masters in their field, right, people that have mastered their craft, there's something in their mastery that when we listen to you, we can extrapolate the mastery and see it in our own lives in what we do. But maybe we need some help sometimes connecting the dots. So,
Sure.
so for example, when you and you've been, you've been in the grind, right? Like you were in the food industry and you produce things and you were in the fast track. So it's not like you're here, hunky dory serving, yummy food.
No.
And this is the only thing that you know.
Right.
So when you were explaining the checking in intuitively with the weather, and then that deciding what you eat, and then also how you're going to make it and what tools you're going to use. How would somebody, again, back in Chicago, right, that is working and their job is not cooking, their job, maybe they're a manager, maybe they're a director, maybe they're PM, whatever they are, how could they understand your process of cooking in a way that they could be inspired in their own life?
I think that and it's kind of hard for me because I'm so in this process of mine. I almost don't know how to describe it.
Right.
So it also depends on where you are on your cooking journey. So hopefully this lands with more people.
Right.
But I think a lot of people, if they are cooking, will use recipes, or they'll use, cookbooks and or a digital source to find a recipe. So a lot of the time, I think people are, they have their favorite sources that are kind of telling them what recipes to make. And they'll say, oh, that one looks good, I'll make that tonight. I think the easiest way to kind of start using your intuition is like really taking 5 minutes, 3 minutes, it doesn't have to be a long period of time, longer the better, but just to be outside and like, don't do anything, just enjoy the outdoors, go for a short walk, enjoy, the sounds, the smells, the feeling, the temperature, etc. And then from there, just then you can go to your recipe resources, right? And look for what is singing to you, right? Take a little bit to just allow whatever dish sounds good to you. Not like, not what this person is telling me to eat in this moment, but more just allowing something to really shine to you, right, and then trying that, right?
I'm imagining also, so of course, again, you're the messenger of the message of, hey, take a moment and enjoy this wonderful miracle of food and see how it will contribute to your relationships. At least that's the message that I get. Did I get it right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
So I'm also imagining, again, if I took the time to pause, right, to go outside and pause and then connect with myself and then come inside and see what I want to eat. I can imagine also that helps me if I step outside, take a few breaths and go inside into the office and see, let me see how I'm going to speak to this person, or let me see what's the next thing I need to do. I guess there's something, I want to get to the thing that you're cultivating that you use in cooking, right? You use for the purpose of cooking, but how can we relate if I'm not a cook? I think how I relate to what you're using is like, between clients, I have this ritual that I stand up from my chair, like and I walk in my office and I breathe, and it's sort of like that transition from one space to the other. And it does involve space and it involves breath and that kind of checking in, like what do I need to do to end one thing and to start the next thing. So that's how I would relate to what you're saying. What where have you seen, I think I want to call myself out. I don't know if I'm fishing too deep into trying to find the connection. If I am, please call me out.
No, let's try it.
But yeah, like this feeling that you have when you cook and when you put things together, and that intuition and play. Where else have you seen it? Or
In myself?
no, in somebody else that
Yeah.
inspires you.
Yeah. That playfulness, I mean, I see it in a lot of people. Okay, for example, one that really comes to mind right away is one of my good friends, Jo Hardy, and her husband have this world-renowned golf school in Carmel, California called Extraordinary Golf. And they teach transformation through golf. And so when they play golf, they're just there like with the ball and the course, and it's not about winning or scoring or their handicap. It's about being present and enjoying the course and the nature, right? And by doing that, beautiful, swings, natural golf swings, lead to a really awesome game.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a
so tell us, so in your mind, what is an awesome game?
Well, you feel it, right? It's the feeling that you have. It's not at the end of the day, to me, it's not the scorecard. The scorecard will probably show and mirror how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Jo has coached me a little bit on my golf game. I grew up golfing with my dad, and it was just a source of connection with him. And beyond that, I could kind of care less about golf. But then in really cultivating a relationship with Jo, I became more interested in kind of testing my mindset through golf. And so I found that when I was present and enjoyed the course and just was really there, then my scorecard, right, was so much better. It reflected that feeling that I had. And so let me get back to the question, which is, what was it? I'm sorry. Okay,
I forgot it too.
Carried away. Okay, sorry. Oh. How do you know if you're there? Is that what you asked? I think.
No, what is awesome?
What is an awesome
what's an
game?
awesome game? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sorry. So to get back, what's an awesome game is you walk off the course and you remember those small things, right? I think there are the small things are the things that stay, right? The sound of the bird, the smell of the course, the laugh that you had with the person on whatever tee box. And then from that, you also have that feeling of this game it feels natural, it feels fun, it just feels like you're in the flow. And you walk off and you're like, that was amazing. You're walking on clouds is what it feels like.
That it kind of makes me think of, those meals that we eat just to feed ourselves. And you don't even remember what you had for lunch because you were so multitasking, and you just kind of shoved it in. And again, I'm not shaming or blaming. Sometimes, that's what we need to do, and we gotta hustle. But I think what you call out is the difference, that with that presence, that intuition, and the great game, I guess, in eating is that cauliflower rice or that broccoli that you ate. It wasn't just the moment that it stayed in your mouth, right? Like it leaves something with you, and you walk out of the restaurant, or you walk out of that dinner table at your home with it carries forward. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, most definitely. I believe, for me at least, when I sit and I enjoy, and that's the creative process of cooking or the connection with people at the table, right? There is a lasting memory, and it carries over, and that's what we're looking for, right? You'll then remember those smells and those tastes and those sounds more than you would, right, if you were just kind of shoveling it in.
Right. How has this practice of, and again, I want to recapitulate that we've been in curiosity, learning, play, and then we arrived at intuition. So how has this practice helped you as a CEO, as a founder, and a businesswoman?
Yeah, of course. It's really huge for me, because pretty much everything that I do, before I do anything, I sit, and similar to you and I, right? We sit, have a few breaths, and kind of greet the moment. And I do that before pretty much everything that I create. And in a lot of creative moments, I actually am just sitting there meditating. I wait and I pause, and then all of a sudden, like, creativity pours out of me. So
Mhm.
I almost feel like at this point in my, I don't even know if I would say it a career, my creativity, I'm just getting out of the way for something to just flow, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So where are you headed? So this is what you've developed and this is where you are now. So what are you being called into, and what new, I mean, I don't know if, would you call it a habit? What habit? So
Mm.
if curiosity, play, learning, intuition, would those be habits of how you center yourself, you organize yourself before taking action?
Yeah, I'm thinking about habit, and if that feels, I don't, what is a habit, right? What is the definition of that? I think in definition, those probably would be habits at this point, because I've taken a lot of time and years to cultivate them.
Mhm.
But I think, to me, what lands a little bit more is like a practice, and life is just kind of a practice
Right.
of play, practicing play, and connecting with others, and just really finding meaning in every moment. I think that's what it is
Mm.
practicing meaning.
Hmm. So what was the meaning in the yogurt in lunch today?
Great question. The meaning in the yogurt was, once again, a pause,
Right.
time, to just be, time, not thinking, not talking, enjoying, right? There's a little high that comes, I think, in after having a conversation that feels connected and fun, and learning from others and with others, right? So relishing in that for a moment, celebrating that. Um, Taking the time, like I said, again, the small things of that bird chirping, and it being 50 degrees in February. Like, it's just so awesome. Life is so cool, you know? And it sounds really probably mundane to most people. They're like, who is this girl? But it really has become kind of fascinating to me, which is,
Well, it points to the ordinary habits, right?
yeah.
That right now you are recording podcasts, you're opening up a whole new branch to, what is it called? Eat In?
Eat in. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's another branch of Nona Eats, and another offering that is going to be more virtual and more accessible to
Mhm.
people. So here you are outputting, right? A lot of
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
And so it's in the ordinary things of just grabbing your yogurt and sitting outside and taking the pause that allows you, or at least this is how I'm seeing you,
Yeah.
allows you to be able to create and manifest so much of your creativity.
Most definitely. Yeah. There were years where I was, like I said, where I got out of the play and was just trying to grind and meet deadlines, and
Right.
really achieve something. And I hit burnout so many times that there was one last straw where it was like, this is not sustainable, right? And what are these ordinary small things that I can dive further into every single day that is going to make this journey something that's everlasting?
So at this point of the conversation, what would you say you think you've mastered?
Oh, are we there yet? I don't know if I know.
Hmm. If you had to give it a
Uh,
name, because
yeah, I
of
mean,
course mastery. And by the way, mastery is, I want to be clear. Mastery is not like you have
yeah,
arrived. I think the master is in the process of mastery. I think it's a verb. It's not a noun. But
no, yeah.
so then what would, if you had to give it a name, what name would you give it?
Mm, I think actually intuition,
Hmm.
playful intuition, maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. That it serves you well, has served you well.
yeah.
So where is playful intuition serving you now? Where is it taking you? What's in the horizon for you?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's about, I'm excited to share that in general, right? And that comes through in the actual work that I'm sharing with others to help them cultivate this in the day to day, but also in every moment, right? Like yesterday, I had some sunchokes in my fridge, and I have this crazy addiction for matcha lattes. So I went to go get a matcha latte yesterday. And because it's, I'm there pretty much every day, I know most of the people that are working there. I've cultivated some sort of relationships with them. And the girl who was making my latte, she was talking about what she wanted to eat, and she had this venison at home. And then I talked about the sunchokes that I used the other night. And she said, "Oh, I'm on this cleanse where I can't have potatoes, but sunchokes, I need to buy some of those, and they're like kind of expensive, but it sounds like it's worth it." And I just thought in my mind, okay, what time are you off work today? Right. And so
Oh,
I ran home and I got the sunchokes for her. And I mean, it was so amazing to just see her light up and be
right.
so excited to have this gift of sunchokes, right? Something, I mean, very pretty small act, but like meant the world, I think, to both of us, right? And now I get to hear how she makes those sunchokes, and there's just a deeper source of connection. So that playful intuition, I think, comes up in every facet.
It's so interesting now that you've mentioned playful intuition. When I think of the videos that I've watched from your method and practice, when you were inviting us to, actually, I learned something new, and I'll say it here because it's so cool. It was so cool.
Oh,
Is that I didn't know the difference between the sell date, the best date, and what was the third date?
yeah, use by.
Used by. And
Yeah,
so, that makes so much sense, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
actually very validating for my husband, because he thinks like I'm always eating, bad food. I'm like, no, it looks fine,
It's
you know.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was so cool, because I think that, see there, so you're smiling. I think that's the invitation. I think now having the orientation that what you're inviting me to is this playful intuition is yeah, like, hi, hello, hummus, are you still, do you still want to play with me? Do you still want to be part of this meal? Are you done? Are you
Right,
going to the trash? And
right.
I can see that invitation. It makes sense.
Mm. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for taking the time to watch those. That's
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
encourage our listeners, truly. It was so worth it. I learned
Oh,
so much. How
oh,
to organize
thank
your
you.
kitchen, how to test your food. I'm still in the process. I haven't fully watched all of them. So
There's a lot of
I'll,
content. Yeah. Take your
yeah,
time.
I'll leave some mystery to those of you who will dive in.
Oh,
But so then you're taking your your playful intuition into others. It seemed like living in the moment, right? So you're at the
yeah.
point where, yes, as a founder and CEO, you have your series and things that you offer, but it seems also, again, in the ordinary moments where you just there ordering your matcha, you see the opportunity,
Yeah.
and you take it.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Well,
It's
wonderful.
beautiful. Yeah.
So what would you say to our listeners? Is there something I haven't
Mm.
asked you, or is there something that you would like to share before we close?
Yeah. I mean, I think the the inspiration is, it's cool that your podcast has ordinary in it.
Mhm.
And because I think some of the most beautiful joys in life are from the ordinary. And it's just when we can see them as extraordinary, and then we feel that, and that ripples into so many other facets. And so, you have 3 meals a day, so you can make them really extraordinary, no matter what you're eating.
Isn't that so?
Yeah.
Well, Kali, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your joy, your intuition, your play. It was palpable. And may we I keep saying, like, when I was going to introduce you, I kept saying, like, oh, I want to say, and lick your fingers, but I didn't know if it was going to be, I don't know in
I'm glad
translate.
you imparted that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I was going to translate well on a podcast and from Spanish to English, because we say it's like,
Right.
it's like we say de chuparse los dedos, it's so good, like you lick your fingers.
Yeah,
But
the deliciousness. Well, Maria, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to connect with you, and thank you so much for sharing this with, your network. And it's really cool. Once again, this was an intuitive process, right? So it's even more cool that we're talking and we intuitively in tuned to intuition.
Right.
Not sure if that makes any sense, but thank you for the insight. I learned a lot.
You're very welcome. How can our listeners reach out to you? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, I think right now we have two websites, nonaeats.com and calliecavanaugh.com, and they both have their own Instagrams, and you can personally reach out to me just through email if you want at callie@nonaeats.com. And I'm excited to, answer any questions and connect further.
Fantastic. And the links will be here on the page. So I urge you to really check it out and dive into your intuition. Callie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
And to our listeners, until next time, be curious, be inspired, and simplify the way.